The heartbreaking and heroic story of Kira, a gorilla's sacrifice and the power of maternal love. The day started like any other at Woodland Park Zoo, with Emily Harper, the dedicated lead zookeeper, going about her usual routine. She had been working with gorillas for over 7 years, and for most of that time, Kira, the 30-year-old female gorilla, had been a calm and reliable presence. But that day, something was off. Kira, who had always been a gentle, protective mother, started showing signs of distress that Emily had never seen before. She refused to eat, paced endlessly near the visitors, and carried her baby, Luma, who was just 4 months old, in a way that made Emily's heart sink. Emily, who had known Kira for years, couldn't ignore the unease that began to grow inside her. Kira, the mother of 4 healthy babies before, was acting in a way that was completely out of character. As Emily observed, Kira would spend hours gazing at her baby, making soft, sorrowful sounds that no one had ever heard her make. There was something deeply troubling about the way she was behaving. Even though Dr. Alan Reed, the zoo's veterinarian, had conducted an examination and found no physical problems, Emily knew in her gut that something more was going on. A mother's desperate plea for help. As days passed, Kira's condition worsened. She became more withdrawn, and her behavior became more erratic. Emily knew something was wrong, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The breaking point came on a quiet Tuesday morning, when Linda Suarez, a retired nurse and regular visitor at the zoo, noticed something truly disturbing about Kira's behavior. Linda, who had become known as Gorilla Grandma because of her frequent visits and her bond with the animals, stood by the glass, watching Kira with concern. "Something's wrong with her today, Emily. Look at how she's holding the baby," Linda said, her voice full of worry. Emily approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. As she moved closer to the viewing window, she saw Kira holding Luma in a way that made her blood run cold. Instead of keeping her baby close to her chest, Kira was holding her out, almost as though she was trying to give her away. Emily whispered in shock, "Oh my God." She immediately grabbed her radio, ordering the immediate arrival of Dr. Reed. Kira walked toward the glass with a determined look in her eyes, and when she reached it, she stopped. Her eyes locked onto Linda's, and there was no mistaking what Emily saw in her gaze: desperation. Kira, in a gesture that would soon be shown on news channels everywhere, lifted Luma toward the glass and tried to push her baby toward Linda. It was a move that left everyone in the room speechless. Kira was trying to hand her baby to a human, hoping that someone would help. The truth behind the illness, uncovering the darkness. Emily's heart broke as she realized the gravity of the situation. "Nobody move," she ordered, her voice trembling with emotion. Kira was clearly in distress, but before anyone could react, Kira suddenly pulled Luma back, huddling into a corner and letting out heartbreaking cries. It was clear that the gorilla was in agony, and the situation was spiraling out of control. A full medical check revealed the devastating truth. Kira had developed a rapidly growing tumor that her thick fur and strong muscles had concealed from earlier exams. The tumor had been hidden, and by the time it was detected, it was already advanced. But the most shocking part was what had led to Kira's suffering. She had been unknowingly given experimental substances that weakened her immune system, causing the tumor to grow unchecked. Kira's behavior, her attempts to give her baby to the human she trusted, was a desperate cry for help. But the situation would take an even darker turn. Emily, growing more suspicious, began investigating the zoo's medical supply records and uncovered a troubling pattern. It turned out that someone had been falsifying the inventory of animal medicines. The records showed that sedatives had been used in excess, while pain medication was in short supply. Worse yet, Kira's blood work came back showing traces of experimental substances, compounds that the zoo didn't even keep in stock. Someone had been experimenting on Kira, using her as a test subject for illegal research. The dark truth. Illegal animal testing and corporate greed. As Emily delved deeper into the mystery, she discovered that Marcus Graves, the zoo's research director, had been behind the unethical experiments. His goal was to accelerate the evolution of primates, pushing their intelligence further in the name of research. But the price of this ambition was the suffering of innocent animals like Kira. Graves didn't care about the harm he was causing. All that mattered to him was the potential for groundbreaking research, no matter the cost. Emily confronted Graves, her anger rising as the pieces fell into place. "You've been experimenting on her," Emily said, shaking with fury. Graves, however, remained cold and dismissive. He justified his actions by claiming that the ends justified the means. "Nothing groundbreaking is achieved without sacrifice," he said. But Emily wasn't having it. "And it's killing her," Jake, Emily's assistant, added. Emily and Jake began collecting evidence, recording everything Graves said and uncovering the truth behind the experiments. As they fought to protect Kira, the news of the zoo's dark practices began to leak out. The media caught wind of the story, and animal rights groups began to mobilize. The zoo was thrown into turmoil, and the unethical actions of its research department were exposed for the world to see. Kira and Luma, a mother's love and a fight for justice. In the midst of the chaos, Kira and Luma's story took a positive turn. After being removed from the harmful experiments, Kira began to recover. Her tumor started responding well to proper treatment, and the bond between mother and child grew stronger every day. Kira's maternal instincts, her willingness to trust humans, and her love for her baby had saved her. Kira's story became a symbol of the resilience of animals and the power of maternal love. It sparked national conversations about animal intelligence, ethics and research, and the need for better protections for endangered species. The zoo's policies were reformed, and those responsible for the experiments were held accountable. The medicine company behind the illegal testing was forced to pay millions in fines, and the zoo underwent a complete overhaul of its research practices. A new beginning. Kira's Legacycera and Luma's journey didn't just end with their recovery, it sparked a larger conversation about the treatment of animals in research and zoos. Their story led to new ethical standards in animal care and inspired people around the world to rethink how we treat the creatures with whom we share this planet. Kira's love for Luma was a testament to the strength of a mother's bond, showing that love transcends species, and that animals, like humans, experience profound emotions and intelligence. As Emily watched Kira and Luma playing together in their new sanctuary, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey they had been through. Kira had shown the world that animals are not just subjects for experimentation, they are intelligent, compassionate beings who can trust and love, just like humans. And in the end, it was Kira's unwavering love for her child that exposed the darkness within the zoo and led to a future where animals could be treated with the respect and care they deserve. Kira's story became a powerful reminder that a mother's love is the strongest force in nature, capable of breaking barriers, changing lives, and ultimately, transforming the world for the better.